Hey guys, Jonathan here, and I've got every single LEGO Arkham Asylum here, including the 4+1. It just kind of ruins the shot. But this is so cool, and I'm really excited to walk down memory lane and compare them all. Now, for this video, I've actually reviewed every single one of these on the channel on its own already. So what I did is I went back and got archival footage and then put it all into one big giant video today. So there's going to be a whole lot of nostalgia in this video if you've been a longtime viewer of the channel. And I'm really excited to put all of the Arkhams together, and each one will have a special introduction from me, just kind of talking about some memories around the set before I show you the old review footage. But let's wind it all the way back to 2006 to the original Arkham Asylum, starting now. So we've got the beloved 2006 here, man. This one was so amazing. I remember getting this back in the day and just having so much fun with it. I mean, all the artwork on the back of the box, it's so beautiful, and I just reviewed this one recently on the channel, so let's roll the footage and check it out. Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today we're taking a look at one of the most legendary LEGO Batman sets ever, Arkham Asylum from 2006. This was the first ever LEGO Arkham Asylum, in a lot of people's minds, one of the most nostalgic sets from the original wave of Batman sets, and of course offered some incredible first ever minifigs and exclusive ones, which to this day still rock. I'm so excited to finally offer this to review here on the channel. It's one of the rarest LEGO Batman sets ever. In fact, it's worth about $800 or more sealed on today's market, which is pretty amazing. Not to mention, back in the day, it only retailed for $80 in 2006, which would be $128 today under, inflation and all that. And even used, this set goes for well over $550, which is wild. It had 860 pieces, and like I said, 7 minifigs, 4 of which are exclusive. So let's start taking a closer look at everything and breaking it all down. Now, I don't always show the boxes, but when it's something this old and historic, I think it is fun to show. The box is actually embossed. It's really kind of hard to get on camera, but as I move it, you can see that it's reflective, and everything is kind of like raised there. Of course, we've got the amazing minifig display up top. Around back, we've got all the awesome features, which of course we'll look at throughout this set, and of course a little comic book telling the story of everything that goes on in this set, and an advertisement for all of the other 2006 LEGO Batman sets. Then the box also opens up to reveal that it opens that way, and overall this is just an incredible piece to have with the box. And the set had 2 instruction books. Again, I don't always show the instructions, but in unique circumstances like this, I think it's worth it. On the back of one instruction book, we've got beautiful artwork of the set, and on the other, an advertisement for the 2006 UCS Batmobile, which was so cool. And then, of course, when we open it up, you can see that the instructions were basically like digital renders, and it was always interesting because like the blacks and grays really blended in together and didn't always look great. In this book, they actually look pretty good, all things considered. But as we go to the last page, you can see the piece count and a beautiful double-page artwork of all the other 2006 first wave LEGO Batman sets, which is so cool. And we also have that comic book from the back of the box reprinted here, which is so sweet. Of course, we've got the other villains being hinted to with their silhouettes in the background. Really awesome stuff. Go ahead and show you a couple more of these digital renders. Wow, that is so cool, man. And we'll get into the set now. So for minifigures, we got 2 exclusive guard figures for Arkham, and the thing that's exclusive about them is the combination of pieces. I believe that every single piece on its own actually did come in other sets, but of course, you only got them in this combination in this set, which makes them exclusive, but not impossible to replicate. That being said, I really like these. Of course, the face prints and even the level of detail on the torso are very reminiscent of what LEGO was doing in 2006, just like with the shading and the belt there, and just the print quality and everything. Of course, no printing on the back. That was exceptionally rare at this point in time for LEGO, and really wouldn't become more popular for another couple years after this. But it's great to have some guards at Arkham so that your play stories would be able to have somebody working to hold down the fort. The Batman minifigure included here is the black and gold color scheme. By today's standards, an absolute legendary minifig. Of course, he has the original style cowl, which is a lot thicker than the 2012 cowl when the Batman sets came back. As you can see, the ears are very, very thick. It's a lot more square than rounded in most ways. And when we lift that cowl up, you could see he had a white headband around his eyes, or I should say around his forehead, so that when you put the cowl on, you see the white of his eyes, which is quite cool. The torso detail is minimalistic, but great for its time. I love the reflectiveness of the gold as we move it in the light, and overall, this is just such a phenomenal minifig that has aged so well. The Riddler minifig here was the first one LEGO ever made, and in fact, this minifig only came in one other set, and that set was the Bat Tank from the following year, 2007, which is exceedingly rare. So for all intents and purposes, if you had the Riddler back in the day, you probably got it from this Arkham Asylum set. He had a great torso print with the shading on his abs, love that purple mask, and of course he has that classic old style of hair, which is pretty funny all these years later. Like, now we basically only get the Riddler with a bowler cap on, but back then it looked really great, and I think it's an awesome representation, and now, with the benefit of hindsight, makes him super, super nostalgic from the old LEGO Batman video game. Much like the Riddler, this minifigure of Scarecrow was the first Scarecrow minifig ever made, and he only appeared in one other set, also from the following year in 2007, and both of those 2007 LEGO Batman sets had very limited distribution, so chances are good if you had this minifigure as well, you probably got it from Arkham, although it could have come from the Scarecrow biplane set with the Batman helicopter. That being said, the head is glow in the dark. You can kind of see it under my studio lights here. It's a really great minifig with that old witch style hat, and of course a great torso, which with no surprise has no printing on the back of the torso, but it's super detailed and comic booky on the front, and he has a very simple but efficient scythe build, which is really awesome, using only 4 pieces to make up the build. Poison Ivy from this set was also exclusive and is such a great minifig all these years later. Of course, she had that great long red hair piece in the old style of long red hair, which LEGO hasn't made in, well, probably since this set, to be honest with you. Then, of course, the head is really great with the green lips and the red eyebrows, excuse me. She actually has a little bit of green eyeshadow around her eyes, too, which is cool. And then, of course, she's got that great leafy torso, which makes for an awesome representation in LEGO to translate Poison Ivy into LEGO form. And then for the undisputed MVP of this set, we have Nightwing. Now, this was the only classic LEGO Batman set that had Nightwing in it, so of course he was exclusive to this set. He used a really cool rubbery hairpiece, like from Exoforce, which is pretty unique. And of course, when we move it around, you can see no printing on the back of the head or the torso, but he does have those nice blue arms, which really adds a lot of color contrast with the front of the torso, making for an amazing minifig all around. And he's got those blue lightsaber pieces for batons, but even without those, he is such a great minifig and one of the absolute highlights of this set. So our smallest build here is Nightwing's small little motorcycle with a Nightwing logo sticker on the front. It's a very simple build, not many pieces involved, but it's really cool how his batons are in the back, and overall, very emblematic of the era from which it came, but a really nice inclusion nonetheless. Now we have the Arkham Patient Transport Ambulance. I really like that they put the ambulance backwards, because like in real life, you know, if you see in your car mirror, it'll be backwards, so that's kind of cool. Then, of course, we have the Arkham Asylum stickers on the side, and this set breaks a lot of modern LEGO rules in that LEGO would never put one sticker over 2 pieces, but they did that at least twice in this set, which is actually kind of funny. Of course, we can open up the back doors here. Little easier said than done, but the doors do open up, and you can pull out this stretcher. In fact, the entire roof opens up, so you can put a driver minifig up front, or you can load the stretcher in this way, but it is pretty cool to be able to load it in with the roof on. And the stretcher is great because you could actually fit a minifigure in there to constrain them for their transport into Arkham. Then it just slides back in like this, the doors close, and you drive off. So then we drive up to the gates of Arkham, where we have a security camera here, and of course we have some nice plant life along the side. Once again, we have a sticker that goes across 2 LEGO pieces. That would be a big no-no from LEGO today, but the gates open up. They're actually a little bit tight. They're actually a little hard to open, but of course the vehicle can fit right through the gates and drive into Arkham like that. Then we can reclose the gates and head into the asylum. To be honest with you, the only thing I don't like about this set is the little Batman flyer here. Of course, the wings are posable and you can move them side to side and all that. You have to remove Batman's cape so that he can hold on to this here. And of course, it twirls around and flies. It's definitely cool, and, you know, what LEGO was doing at the time, like, this feels straight out of the video game in a lot of ways with its design and practicality and all that. But to me, it's just not all that exciting. It feels like something that would come in one of those European magazines on today's market, but not bad at all. And of course, it has this little piece here, so you can stick it to the various poles that are over top the buildings we'll look at in just a moment, so you could have Batman flying over the scene. It's not a bad build, it's just my least favorite thing here, as mentioned. Now, the first side build is the watchtower. Of course, we can fold up the ladder here so the bad guys can't climb up there, but it does make for a nice narrative that your figures can climb up there. There's a little clip if you wanted to put their gun up there while they're watching over guard. Then, of course, we can move the spotlight up and down and side to side, and it makes for a really, really cool side inclusion, and it's very industrial the way it's built with, like, you know, these large pole pieces here, 3 of them to support it. Very simple, but a very cool build nonetheless. The smallest build here is the containment unit for the Riddler. We can remove this lock piece up top, and then we can see the question marks that are in the bottom, and we can take the Riddler out of the stretcher over here. I had him in there from before, and then, of course, you can place him right here where he can be thinking up all his next dastardly riddles. Then, of course, we can lock this up and flip it around to see the backside, which of course has some storage for the guns up top. Lots of guns in this set. That would never happen in LEGO DC today, but up top we have a satellite as well as a bat there, which make for some very cool scenery additions, and of course this printed piece for the rooftop slide, which we'll see on another building here in just a moment, is incredibly cool. The medium-sized building houses 2 more villains. I really, really like this giant roof piece here. Not something I can imagine LEGO would do today, but as we move down to the ground floor, you can see we have a containment unit for Poison Ivy. Just like the Riddler, we can remove that lock and see she actually has a lot of space in there, surrounded by her beloved plants, and then the lock can go back on. There are stickers on both sides with, like, Venus flytraps. Very, very cartoony, but very, very fun at the same time. And up top, we can open this door and actually pop out this entire wall to make room for the Scarecrow. I really like that they put a bunch of hay in there so that he'll feel right at home. Then, of course, we could close this back up and close the door. There's a little rat hanging out up top. And we have a play feature where when we push this Scarecrow skull out front, it actually pushes the whole wall out for Scarecrow to make his big escape. And here we have the main facility for Arkham. Now, of course, we'll go ahead and start down on the ground floor where we have a maximum security door up front. It actually is a little bit difficult to open, so what I've always done is use the Scarecrow's scythe to kind of help open it, but we do have a nice sticker there, and once we get inside, you can see that there's actually a gate there for security. So when we turn the whole building around to the side, we've got a security officer there who can press his buttons on the computer to open that gate and let you in or keep you from getting out. Now, moving up a floor, I always love this. We have containment cells for the other bad guys from other sets. Of course, those being the Joker, Two-Face, and the Penguin. And then we can pull this in, and it actually opens all 3 doors in unison. So, you know, it's really cool that we can open and close that. And if you had the other sets back in the day, you could put the bad guys in there. Also, on LEGO's part, it's actually genius marketing to do this, because then if you got this as a kid, you would want to get all the other sets to put the bad guys in there. So, once again, very, very genius marketing. Another kind of funny thing, if you open it and look, you could see that this 1x2 piece where all of the Technic pieces connect would have a hole in it. So LEGO is literally telling you to put a sticker over a hole on a piece. Again, just kind of funny. Things like that would absolutely never happen today. Moving up to the 3rd and final floor, they did a really good job utilizing their space here with kind of like a laboratory or an examining room. Of course, we could move this piece out. I just had some tools in there. There's like a stretcher bed there for operations and things like that. And when we move it around front, there's a secret hatch up front that holds this rope so the bad guys could drop their way out and escape, which was very, very cool. And with that, we've basically looked at every detail of this set. The 2013. Now, this one came out when I was in high school, and I couldn't afford it at the time. Heck, I didn't even really have space for it. And, I didn't ask for it for Christmas or anything like that. I don't really know why I didn't get this one back in the day. Probably just being a high school student that loved music and loved guitars, and that's where all my money was going back then. But I do remember going to Comic Cons and thinking, like, oh, I could just get the pieces or the minifigs for this, and I'll just part it together. I didn't know what Bricklink was. I wouldn't have known how to use Bricklink even if I did. But this set was so fun. In fact, this one is sealed. This is from my sealed archive. But I have another one that's loose and has been in my Lego City for quite some time. Gonna bump that out to put the new one in. But speaking of the old one, let's roll the footage and check out the second ever Lego Arkham Asylum. What is up, you guys? This is MiniSuperHeroesToday, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at the 2013 LEGO DC Universe Batman set 10937 Arkham Asylum Breakout. Obviously, this had an incredible selection of minifigures, and it's a great aesthetic build, coming in at 1,619 pieces for ages 12 and up, 8 minifigures total, and it was $159.99 back in the day, so it was a very expensive set, one of the first superhero sets to break the $100 price range too, so this was a biggie when it came out. I actually did not get this back in 2013, I got this in a recent LEGO haul, but I remember wanting it so bad, and I just couldn't justify spending that kind of money on it, but I came across one recently, and now I've got it. Back in the day, too, it was a LEGO store exclusive and online, of course, so it was very hard to come by, and, it's not one that you might have seen, and it's a little more on the obscure side. So, without further ado, let's start breaking down this set, and I'll show you every little detail. So, as always, we'll start off by taking a look at the minifigures, but in no particular order. First up, we've got Dr. Harleen Quinzel, of course, Harley Quinn, and it's really one of the only Dr. Harleen Quinzels we've gotten over the years, certainly the first, with a really nice blonde hairpiece here, the glasses on the front, and then, of course, in her doctor's outfit, you can see the Harley Quinn outfit underneath, which is pretty cool. And on the back, you can flip it around, and then she's got her made-up face with the mask. So, definitely a very cool figure, very unique take, and perfectly fitting to come with Arkham Asylum. On that same note, we've got Joker in his orange Asylum jumpsuit. Now, the Joker head is the same as all of the other ones, except on the back here, of course, he's got a new torso. So, orange legs on that, and then you can see that the set number is kind of reflected in the number. So, 109370 in the set is 10937 with no zero at the end. So, just kind of a cool little Easter egg there on this figure. Here we've got Poison Ivy, which is the exact same one that came with the 2012 LEGO Batcave. Still a very cool figure, and you can see she's got an angry face there, a little more of a happy smirk there, and some nice leaf printing in her hair, actually. So it's a really cool figure, but not an exclusive or anything. Another figure that's kind of in that same vein is the Batman we get. The Batman figure himself is not exclusive, but these black wings were exclusive at the time, so pretty cool. I was never a huge fan of these kind of like plastic wings. They don't really bend, they just do what they do. And there's two studs on the back, so you could add like a jetpack or something if you wanted, but I was never particularly crazy about those legs, but the figure is just like every other Batman from the 2012 era. Here we've got Scarecrow, which was our first LEGO Scarecrow in a very long time, so definitely a welcome addition. Some printing on the back of the head, but no alternative head, so you get what you get here, and it is a really great figure. Love those eyes on that one. Here we've got the security guard, or the driver of the Arkham van, which we'll take a look at here in a moment. Same as the 2012 Two-Face Chase set, and I believe he showed up in a Marvel set too. Doc Ock's bank a vehicle robbery thing from 2012 or 2013, somewhere in that vein. Here we've got Robin, who's very similar to some of the other Robins we'd gotten at the time, except this one has a short cape, when short capes were just being introduced into the LEGO line. The torso and head are pretty much the same, and the black legs, I believe, are similar to a lot of the other Robins as well. One of the downsides of getting this used is it looks like a dog chewed on that, but, hey, that's what happens when you buy the used life when it comes to LEGO. And here we've got a Penguin who also is not exclusive. These pieces showed up on other Penguins and other LEGO DC sets, but he's here, so we got to take a look at him. So those are our minifigures. Pretty amazing to get 8 minifigures in this, especially for the price and the size of the set. But yeah, it is really great. So speaking of this set, let's go ahead and dive in and start taking a closer look at that. Alright, so first off, I'll show you the Arkham Asylum Paddy Wagon van. It's got these big tiles on the side that have stickers on them, Arkham Asylum, Gotham City. So 2 stickers on the sides, of course. Then we've got a license plate sticker that goes on the back, as well as an identical one that goes on the front. Then as far as putting a figure in it, you can actually lift off this front piece of the roof, take a figure and sit them down inside. And once you do that, you can also see that there's another sticker on the inside, almost like a GPS or something like that. But it looks like there's like a little radio thing there and all that. And it looks like this little gear shift came out, but you can see that there's a pair of handcuffs in there as well. It only makes sense to have handcuffs for the asylum, right? Then you can open the back here. Easier said than done if you don't have fingernails, but you can open that, and there's actually a restraining bed here, and it's actually really tough to open because those arms are very tight. But you could take somebody like Joker, for example, and strap them in here. So you move those arms, you clip them in place, and then Joker is strapped to the bed, and then the bed can slide right back in, even with a minifigure in it. So that's pretty cool. It definitely makes for a great play feature. As far as DC vehicles go, this is among my favorites ever, just because it's such a compact build, and it honestly kind of reminds me of the style from the Batman animated series. Maybe that's just me, but I think it's really cool, and I absolutely love this vehicle. So, for some scenery, we also get this front gate, as you can see here, very gothic looking. There's kind of a big gap in the front gate, so it wouldn't be too difficult for villains to get in or out of, at least the way that it came to me being used. Hopefully it's not missing any pieces there or anything, but you can see there's a security camera up here, and then there's kind of like these Archangel gargoyle builds that mirror one another there. And then, of course, the van can just drive straight through and go through. So just something nice for some extra aesthetic for the set. It's not a deal breaker or anything. Honestly, it might have helped bring the price down another 10 bucks, but in LEGO's defense, maybe it pushed the price up 10 bucks. So it makes sense why maybe they went with that. So while we've got the camera at this angle, we could go ahead and take a look at the very front of the asylum. So using Harley Quinn as our guinea pig here to show you the size, I mean, it really is a fantastic build. It's definitely got some size to it. I'm going to bring the camera up just a hair here so we can see most of the front, but I really love the reddish color here that trims everything. It just gives a great aesthetic. I really love it. Of course, there's an Arkham and Asylum, 2 stickers spread across the front there. There's a security camera here. I love these little lantern posts there. And then, of course, you can see we've got some greenery right here. And then we've got some greenery growing out there because you'll see that's poison ivy cell in a minute. Then there's some broken glass up here with this little rope hanging out, almost like a Spider-Man web. But the idea is that's where Robin is able to, climb in and out of, or the villains can kind of hoist themselves out of there. So it's got a lot of, play features there in and of itself. So moving the camera up so we could take a look at kind of some of the second floor aesthetics. I love what they used these handcuffs here for. It's almost like symbolism of the asylum itself, but just a really great ornate look right there. Looks really fantastic. I love the gothic style of the top here too. Just some of these little pennants right here. I'm not sure what the wording would be, but the little roofing techniques here are fantastic. And we actually get these little gargoyles here too. I'll take one off so you can see. The head is actually a frog piece in gray with a battle droid body, some arms, and then just some wings built out of axes. So I just think it's a really inventive way to create something new using a lot of pieces you might not think to use in general. Now, tipping this forward just a little bit, you can see that there is a nice flat space here on the roof that could be used for play. I really like that a lot. And all in all, this asylum is just a fantastic, fantastic build from the outside. You know, when you display these sets, you don't always get to display them in a way where you get to see both sides. So if you display it outward facing, it really does look fantastic. It's a very sturdy build as well, I should mention that. So let's go ahead and flip this around and start taking a look at the interior. So now we flipped it around and we're looking at the interior, and in a lot of ways, it is just as great as the front side. You know, there's a lot of great qualities and a lot to break down, actually. So I'm really excited to start doing just that. So let's go ahead and start on the bottom floor. So starting off on the bottom floor here, we can also open the doors from the front. I didn't show you that while we were up front, but those doors do open and close very easily. You can see kind of tipped back in there that there's a fire extinguisher on the wall, and that was just kind of like a running joke in LEGO sets of this era. Almost all of the LEGO superhero sets had a fire extinguisher hidden in there somewhere, so just something kind of fun. Another fun little Easter egg is this red telephone you can see here, which is conveniently tucked right there. It's the same phone that comes in the 2012 Batcave, so it's kind of an interconnectivity thing that, you know, they could call from the asylum to reach Batman. Just a cool little Easter egg, if you will. So down here, we've got a little security desk where, of course, the security guard minifigure can sit. There's just a little coffee cup there. There's a little alert sign there, you know, a little computer for him to watch over the asylum. So just a cool little thing there. So then when we move over here to the side, you can see that we've got a Gotham's Most Wanted sign here with Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, the Penguin, Two-Face, and, you know, some lines that would presumably be like a little bio for each of those nefarious beings. Then we can turn this around, and it's actually a makeup station for Harley Quinn. I wonder if I could actually pull that out. No, I guess it doesn't move out, so I'll hold it up so you can see it instead. You can see that there's a little Joker Polaroid on there with a kiss mark from Harley Quinn. And then, of course, we actually do get her hat as well, so you can put it on the minifigure if you really wanted to. But it's a really cool little hidden thing there that, you know, just kind of swivels and is hidden in plain sight. So the last thing we need to take a look at on the bottom floor here, of course, is this jail cell. And something really cool is that you can take these little placards off and you could switch them with the ones over here. So let's say you are, you know, having a play adventure and you want a Joker to be in there. You could stick the Joker card on there, or if Mr. Freeze was going in, you could switch them out for however you wanted. I think that's very cool. And the way that these doors are attached, they're on this very long 1 by almost 10 or something, it looks like. But so both doors slide open at the same time. When you turn it, there's no chairs in there or anything. Sometimes in these Lego prisons, they'll put like a bed or something, but it's a very narrow cell. So you can see there's another one there. But anyways, there's nowhere for figures to sit or anything like that. So if you were to put a figure in there, they would just stand like this. Easier said than done, huh? But that's how it would look, and that's that. So let's go ahead and move up to the second floor now, and I guess Poison Ivy might just get stuck in there. Nope, we've got her. All right, up to the second floor. All right, so the second floor is just as jam-packed with detail. You can see we've got a little plant over here, and the string, the rope that goes out the window for characters to escape on. We've got a very cool, like, kind of plant thing here that can hold Poison Ivy, like a super prison cell just designed for her. And then right above that, actually, we get a cell that's designed for Mr. Freeze. So you can see that there's, you know, some chill area there. But I suppose this could also be for the Penguin. I always assumed it was for Mr. Freeze, but considering Penguin actually comes in this set, it very well may be for Penguin too. But, you know, hey, your imagination can take you on whatever adventure you want there. So here we've got kind of like what I assume is like a psychiatric table or something. You can see that one of the drawers is kind of out here. It doesn't go in just by the design of how it is. But you could take one of the inpatients, I guess you could say, and have them lay back for an examination. Of course, Dr. Harleen Quinzel could be right there. You've got all kinds of like medicines and syringes and I don't know, maybe even potions or something over there. And then the last detail to look at on the second floor is just this little desk area with a newspaper on it. Probably somewhere you could put like another security guard or, you know, Quinzel or whoever you would want. But that is the entire interior. And with that, we've actually taken a pretty in-depth look at this set. But before we jump back out and I give you a final review and a final overview, I want to point something else out too. The construction of this is built in a way that you can take this off and move it like that. Okay, so you can see that there's these Technic pins here that can click in here. But based on the construction, there are also Technic pins right over here. So part of my curiosity would be like if this was designed that you could move things like this, or if they were somehow planning to do another Arkham Asylum that you could clip this into and then you could add a whole other wall that would go this way. I guess it's a mystery for us to know now, but that is something I would love to know if I ever got to ask LEGO. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Ah, yes, the Lego Batman movie version one. You know, this came out when I was in college, and I couldn't afford it, sadly, being in college. You guys know how that can go. Being a student and buying Lego is never a good combo, but what is a good combo is all the pieces in this set. All right, that was cheesy, but we got so many great minifigures in this, and since I didn't get it when I was in college, I had to wait till I was an adult and had adult money. I think I even literally make that joke in the footage, but, yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's awesome. I love this one, and I'm so glad to have it now all these years later. Hey guys, in today's video, we're taking a look at the 2017 LEGO Batman Arkham Asylum from the LEGO Batman movie. I wanted this set so bad when it came out, but 2017 was my junior year of college, and not only did I not have space for this, I couldn't afford it. But now, I've got adult money, so I picked it up. Back in the day, this set retailed for $149.99. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $185 as of this video. It had 1,628 pieces, 13 minifigs, all of which were exclusive except for Batman and Barbara Gordon. And honestly, this is a really great set, especially for that amount of money back then. And the only thing I have to say right off the bat is it's not super accurate to what we actually see in the movie, but the one in the movie is so big, I don't really know how it could be accurate, so I'm willing to live with it as is. This is a really cool set. It's one of the only LEGO Arkham Asylums they've ever done, and of the 3 they've done to date, it is the biggest. So, without further ado, let's take a closer look at all the details. Up first, we have LEGO Batman, and of course, this is the same minifig that came in so many of the LEGO Batman movie sets. He did have great printing and everything, but it was pretty basic at the end of the day. I just realized his belt's upside down, but I'm just gonna leave it there for the quirkiness of it. Up next is Barbara Gordon, and she did come in one other set, so while she is relatively rare in this outfit, technically she's not exclusive, but she's still not super common to see out there, so definitely a cool figure all these years later. I love that they gave her a little bit of hip and leg printing there with her badge, and overall, it's a really, really awesome figure that stands up really well all these years later. Here we've got Robin with the Phantom Zone gun, which is brick-built and has a really cool little target on the magnifying glass up top. It really looks great, pretty accurate to the movie overall, and Robin himself is exclusive because of the head. We've got kind of a confused look on one side, and then a big grin on the other side. We do get this really nice, short, shimmery cape for Robin, and of course he's got printing all over with dual-molded legs, and LEGO really did a great job with the detail on this minifig back in the day. We get 2 Gotham City police officers. I suppose they also work as the, keepers of the asylum for the most part, and they both look really, really great. Nothing too crazy here. The heads were used in other places over the years, like this is Claire Deering's head from Jurassic Park, I believe, so nothing too crazy here. The torsos are really nice with the arm printing, but basically they're just some cops to help watch over the asylum, and definitely a necessary part of the set, although not the most exciting minifigs here. Up next, we've got Aaron Cash. I love what they did with the hip piece here that gave him some black belt printing. Then, of course, as we flip it around, he's got the Arkham Asylum jumpsuit on and all that. So, overall, looks really, really great. Got the hook for the hand, and we can, of course, flip the hair around to show kind of an angry face on one side and a more muted, sinister smirk on the other. Okay, maybe not sinister, but you know what I mean. Now, many of the villains in this set, in fact, pretty much all the villains in this set, have the exact same legs and torso, the only changeouts being the color of the hands, and then, of course, the head and hair combos. So, we'll kind of knock these out 2 at a time. We've got the Riddler here with a reverse face where he's a little more angry, and the Joker with a big grin on one side and an even bigger grin on the other. Great minifigs overall, but again, nothing too wild and crazy. Here we've got Catwoman and Poison Ivy, and the crazy thing is Poison Ivy and Riddler have the exact same hands, so they literally have the exact same torso overall. These both look really good. Catwoman also got an orange utility belt, which is kind of interesting. We can lift the heads and hair up to flip them around to show you the opposite sides too, and overall, these 2 look really great and add a lot of great detail to the set. Finally, we've got my favorite Batman villain of all time, and that is Two-Face. They did a really great job with the printing here. Of course, he's got 2 different colored hands, as you can see, and on one side of the face, it's melted off to show the Lego skeleton head underneath. We can, of course, flip that around to show he's got a more scared face on the other side, and I do love that he's got a little mustache thing going on there, too. Works great. Finally, we've got Dr. Harleen Quinzel, and she's got her little Arkham Asylum clipboard here. She does have dual molded legs, white on top, black on bottom, which you can see works really well with the printing on the front to show her lab coat. We can flip the hair all the way around to show a little bit more of an inquisitive face, but overall, this is an absolutely awesome figure and a really cool inclusion at the end of the day. We have one more minifig, and it is this statue up front that's holding a snake. I went back and rewatched the movie before reviewing this set, and there is a giant minifigure statue that has a snake going around it, but it's way bigger than this. So that's the main thing to keep in mind about this set. As cool as it is nowhere near to scale with what we see in the movie, so LEGO did the best they could with giving us something play scale, while also keeping some details from the movie there, like this statue, which I think is pretty cool at the end of the day. Now, out front, they did give us some cool little things here. Now, they did give us some cool accessories. Technically, these should go inside the asylum, but now's a good time to look at them. We got two sets of little wheels on an axle here that you could use as hand weights. We also get this bench press here with weights on it. It's a little bit tricky to get in and out of there, but of course, you could put that in a minifig's hand and have them laying down here to be working out on the bench, so you can see how that would work from there. Then, of course, we've got this little table over here with 4 seats. There's no real play feature. It's just some cool, areas to put your figures to have them hang out. Now, when we get inside, you'll see that there are some food trays and things like that that you could move and put on this table, but we'll get to that in just a moment. And finally, we've got the Gotham police car here. We've got some stickers on the front for a little license plate, stickers on both doors, which actually both open for some functionality, and we've got a sticker on the back. This entire back hatch lifts up, and you can see that we've got an extra walkie-talkie instead of handcuffs in the trunk, which is some cool functionality. It does roll, of course, and then you can lift this center roof piece off. Or you could be like me and have the whole thing come apart in your hand. But you could see that you could fit 2 minifigs in there. One could sit here and drive, and theoretically you could have somebody being arrested in the back seat. But overall, I think that this one does suffer a little bit from not having room for more minifigs on the inside. But it's totally fine at the end of the day, and it is a really cool build with some unique light blue coloring there. Now, sometimes when there's a part of a LEGO set that's super tall, we've got to go freehand with the camera and review it that way. This is the watchtower. You can see that there's some room up top to put a minifig, but no computer or anything too exciting up there. It's literally just a watchtower. As we move down, we've got some TNT boxes there that, of course, have stickers on them. And then as we move down, there's a little basketball hoop in the back as well with a backboard that has some scratches on it. And we can slide down these pieces that say lockdown. So, if some craziness is going on at the asylum, we can send it into lockdown mode. And when things calm back down, we can turn lockdown mode off and go a little something like that. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is nowhere to scale with what we actually see in the movie, but I do love the detailing they did here with the brown and the gray, alternating back and forth to add a lot of texture there. The windows are all barred off, as you can see, and one of them even has some poison ivy greenery hanging out of it, and I love how they did the roof as well. Now, again, we're going to take a look at the inside, but we can push the doors open to get inside, and the story, if you will, as we go through, is a lot like what we see in the movie. Up top here, there is a little balcony where you could have a minifigure hanging out looking over, and the one thing that kind of bothers me about the set is all of these alternating white and black pieces. It's supposed to represent snow, as we see in the movie, but I think it would have been better to just all be black, in my opinion. It wouldn't be that hard to change out, but for an almost $200 set, I think it would have made more sense just to do all black, but I do get why they did what they did. I'm just saying I would have preferred it the other way. Now, the set is somewhat modular in the sense that you can remove these side panels here, so you could, just display these side by side, or I suppose if you got multiples of this, you could just keep building it outward. But as we turn it around, you can see that the entire back portion has all kinds of functionality and playability. So let's take it section by section and look at all the details here. Okay, so you see those front doors that I pushed open a little earlier. Now we've got the little, security area from the movie, and you could put a minifig on here for them to be scanned, and you can see that something's coming up on the scanner here with these skeleton stickers that are put on there. Then basically you just load it back into the scanner like that because it sits on those tracks. And you can see we've got some warning stickers here, but they clip onto these arms, and those arms come off very, very easily. Like basically no pressure is needed to get those to clip off, so it is what it is. Over to the side here, you can see these Technic pins, and that is where the other parts of the building connect in. Now, they don't connect in like lock in place, they just kind of slide in place. And then when you have all those together, you can see that there's an upper walkway where your minifigures can, you know, get from place to place throughout the asylum. The other thing you'll notice is there's cameras everywhere, so I do think that's cool that we're on high security mode. We've got a little lockdown sticker here and a computer with all of the files pulled up for everybody that's in Arkham. Then on this side, we've got a little safe that we can open up here, and you could keep some extra pieces or something of the sort up there. We've got some orange juice and some tapes, presumably from all of these cameras that we have all over the asylum. Now, we'll start on this right side of the set. There's no real right or wrong way to start, so right. There's a pun in there. I didn't even realize that. Anyways, over here, we've got two little jail cells here for the characters, and you can tell who goes in each jail cell based off the stickers. So it is hard to see, unfortunately, but you can see that we've got a I Believe in Harvey Dent poster in this one, so of course that's where Two-Face goes. And in this one, we've got a Batman question mark sticker there, but again, they are very hard to see once the set is finally completed up. Now, back to the main part of the set, we do have some washer and dryer machines over here, and some suds on this sticker near the vent. We also have some washing powder from Ace Chemicals, which is a nice little Easter egg. And then up here, it looks like we've got some kind of chemical, computerized something or other going on up here. So I do like that. And we also have some syringes in that little box there. And once again, we've got cameras watching over the entire asylum. And of course, this walkway here, that does connect into the asylum overall. Now we'll move over to the left side. All right, now we're on the left side, and we'll start off with those jail cells again. You'll remember from the other side that we've got some vines hanging down there. So, of course, this is Poison Ivy's little case here. And you can see we've got a plant monster sticker in there. It is very, very difficult to see once it's placed in there, though. So I guess you'll just have to take my word for it. And the Joker also has a sticker on the wall of a Batman with a Joker smile over it. But again, it is very difficult to see. We've got that walkway, as mentioned before. And we also have this telephone booth here where, you know, you could come visit your favorite inmate at the asylum. You can have one figure on each side as they talk to the person, you know, who's locked up. Anyways, over here, we also have this big food tray, which you can remove. We've got all kinds of food in here, and plates, and also these trays that kind of slid off. But I will say this does feel a little bit weird, because look at all that empty space that's left in the back. It just feels weird to me that the only thing that they could think to put here was this food tray. And I get it, you know, based off the movie, I do get it, but that's just a lot of wasted empty space in a $150 set back in the day. And it would have been nice to have something back there, even if it was just like a sticker or an Easter egg or something back there. So honestly, that's really just about all there is to say about the set. I know this is kind of a long video, but again, for how much it is, you'd think there'd be more to say than that, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and wrap up the video and call it a day. I told you I had the 4+ one. To be honest with you, I don't have a ton of memories around this one because it didn't come out all that long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But, you know, when you look up LEGO Arkham Asylum, this one usually doesn't come up, but I'm always thinking. I'm always using my mind, if you will. And, yeah, this one is pretty fun. Not a bad set for 4+. I mean, you know, 4+, you always got to lower your expectations anyways, but I do dig this one quite a bit, so let's roll the footage and check it out. Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today we're winding back to 2019 to take a look at the Batman and Joker Escape set from LEGO DC. This was a 4+ set that retailed for $40. Yeah, $40 for only 171 pieces with 4 minifigs, 2 of which were truly exclusive and 1 of which is semi-exclusive. We'll talk about that in a minute, but adjusted for inflation in 2024, this set would cost $49. Yeah, so this set was obviously very overpriced, and that's why a lot of people, A, don't even know this set exists, but B, didn't get it. So today we're going to see if it was worth the $40 price tag and wind back the clock. So let's get to it. Okay, so up first we have Batman, who has come in lots of different sets from 2012 till this time. At this point, They did give him a cape that only had one hole in it, so it doesn't, like, go over or anything, but basically not a lot to say that I haven't said in 100 videos already. It is a basic Batman. Of course, the cowl can be reversed to show his smirk on the other side. It's not a bad minifig, it's just he's been in sets for over 10 years at this point, so you probably already have him. Now, interestingly, the guard minifigure here is exclusive to this set. This specific combination of pieces, that is, have never come in another LEGO set, but, of course, it is not made of exclusive pieces. Like, we've got this black cop hat here, the head from the Clone Troopers that was used for years and years, and this torso was actually used in a Marvel set as well for a security guard driver who I believe was driving, like, some kind of money van or something in a Doc Ock set, if memory serves correct. But anyways, not an exclusive figure in terms of parts, but this combination of parts only came in this set. So up next, we have the Joker in his Arkham Asylum jumpsuit, and this was the figure that I said is semi-exclusive. That's because this figure only came in one set, but it was released for 1 month in a foil bag in Europe that you could get with, like, a magazine. So most people watching this video, according to my demographics, are in the United States, so our only chance to get him at retail was in this set, but technically there was another way to get him. You can turn his head around, and he's got kind of like a scowl on the other side, which is a cool expression. And then, of course, on this side, we've got his big yellow tooth grin. It's a great-looking minifig, and that Arkham jumpsuit is definitely cool. Up next is Harley Quinn, and I love this minifig. Of course, she comes with her baseball bat, iconic from the movies and shows and everything. She does have the same torso and legs as Joker. Makes sense because they're both inmates at Arkham in this story of the set. Then the head was used in other sets, as was the hair, but I really like the colored ponytails on there. That looks great, and you can spin it around to see her sticking her tongue out on the other side of the figure. So it is a really great looking figure overall, and she does come with her own little accessory, and that is a motorcycle, which, of course, just like any LEGO motorcycle, you could put the character on, and she has a hook that can attach into the set to pull the wall out of Joker's jail cell. We'll take a look at that in a minute, but it is cool to get a little motorcycle here for Harley with some unique colors, and I dig that a lot. Okay, so Batman also gets a helicopter here. It's pretty basic. In fact, the entire helicopter is like one giant piece with just some extra pieces added for texture. The Bat logo printed circle pieces are nice, and of course the cockpit opens up so you could seat Batman inside behind the controls, and the propeller up top can spin. So not a lot going on here, pretty basic build, but it definitely adds to the story of the set. Okay, so here we go. You could see that the hook has been placed in the window, and when you pull the motorcycle, it pulls the whole wall out, and in this case, Joker was jumping for joy to get out of his jail cell. I can't say I blame him, and that brings us to the outside of the Arkham Asylum build. Now, with these 4+ sets, the one thing that they have going for them is that they never have stickers, because I guess LEGO's like, you know, trying not to give stickers to kids to make the builds as easy as possible. We do have a little security gate up front with a sewer grate right there and some greenery. I doubt that that's a reference to, like, Killer Croc and Poison Ivy, but just the fact that we could even have that conversation is kind of cool. There is a board that goes across the front door. Of course, you have to break that board off to open up the door. In fact, let's put the security gate up so you can see those giant doors open up front that allow you to drive or, I suppose, walk in. All the printing here is really nice with, like, the fall leaves, the security computer there. We've got a spider that's sticking to a stud here, as well as security lights. Then, as we move the camera up, there's actually a watchtower up top with these sirens, which when we flip it around, you can see there's a seat where you could put the security guard to watch over all of Arkham Asylum. So basically, he just sits in there a little something like that. Then, as we move down, you can see that we have a watchtower up here. I guess the guard could be in there, something else could be in there, whatever. And we also have a purple hat, which I would suppose goes to the Joker, but it could be Mad Hatter as well. Then we also have Mr. Freeze's ray gun there. I can't talk today. As we move down, we've actually got a TV on a ball hinge that can move that has the Joker doing his broadcast there. So that's kind of cool that overlooks the set. We have a little computer here. I'm not sure if this is like fear toxin or something, but again, I like the kind of ambiguous references here with the computer and, of course, some handcuffs, and then both of the sides of it have different jail cells for Joker and Harley. And of course, it's all built on this big giant green plate that uses these brown pieces to add the extra wings to the side. So again, the whole set itself is 171 pieces. Not really too crazy as far as piece count goes, but I do think that they did a good job of like making a playset the kids can play with and enjoy that wouldn't be too difficult to build for a 4+ builder. So let's go ahead and round out this video and call it a day. Alright guys, well needless to say, this is not worth $40 in any stretch of the imagination, but the minifigs are cool, there are some neat piece usages here, and of course, it does add to the DC collection in quite a cool way. And here we've got the most recent one, which LEGO sent me early to review. I'm very excited to share this review with you, so not too much to say in the nostalgia factor since I literally just built it and posted the video, but let's roll the footage and check out the latest Arkham Asylum. Hey guys, Jonathan here, and I've got the new $300 LEGO Arkham Asylum built and ready to review, which LEGO sent me early to review, but of course all thoughts are my own. Now this set comes out September 9th, it's $300 with almost 3,000 pieces in 16 minifigs. So without further ado, let's get right into taking a closer look at this epic new DC modular. And here it is, Arkham Asylum, one of the coolest LEGO DC sets we've ever gotten. I just have to tell you right off the bat, that's how I feel. It's our first ever DC modular, which is awesome. And again, $300 price tag with 16 minifigs, almost all of which are brand new, and 2,953 pieces. It's a phenomenal build experience, and there are so many references, Easter eggs, and even a little story built into the set that you discover as you continue to build, or you'll discover as you get through this review. Now, there are some things about it that are not my favorite and some things I really wish were different, but we'll address each of those as we get there. I think the best place to start, of course, are the minifigs, so let's jump right in with those. Now, it's no secret that we have not gotten a lot of DC minifigures over the last several years, and when we have gotten them, they've been from Batman, and when we've gotten those, it's usually the Joker, Harley Quinn, and Catwoman, and Batman himself. So this is the first time we've gotten Robin in basically 5 years. It's the first time we've seen Poison Ivy in years. So there's a lot of really cool new stuff here. And while a lot of minifigures are in their jumpsuits, it kind of makes sense narratively. Hopefully this opens the door and the set sells well enough that we show LEGO that we want more from DC than just what's here. You know, let's get all these characters in their main outfits. Let's get some Superman characters. This set selling well will tell LEGO everything they need to know about the demand for DC, and I hope that the way I feel about more DC sets is the way that you feel, and hopefully that means we get more and not just Batman. But let's start breaking down all of these minifigs. With so many minifigs to get through, we'll start with the least exciting ones, and these are the Arkham Asylum guards. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that they're included here so that we have somebody to defend the asylum, but at the same time, they use pretty much all common parts and or parts that have been in many other sets, so they bring the least amount of newness to the table, which is why they've got to be ranked last here. Of course, those torsos are great with their walkies and equipment, and I do love the blue hats. It is a great representation all around, but they don't even say Arkham. They're just kind of generic, so they've got to come at the bottom of the ranking. In 14th place, we've got Batman himself, and I know that might sound crazy to you because it is a great minifig, right, with that new cowl and the 2025 debut torso, but considering we just found out about the Batman video game coming out next year, I think it stands to reason that this minifig is about to become as common as the previous black and yellow Batman, so for that reason, other than bringing back the cape, which we haven't seen since 2020, there's not a lot of excitement here. It uses the same head we've been getting on Batman for years, the Shang-Chi style head. Of course, it does look great with that mask with the white eyes, and we can flip the unique cape up to see a little bit more printing on the back that looks great. And like I said, we haven't seen this cape in many years, and unfortunately, it doesn't come with like an alternate cape for him, just like a regular cape. So he's always got to have this flowing cape. It doesn't super bother me, especially if you're just going to like display this, but I feel like it wouldn't have been a huge deal breaker to LEGO to include a regular version too. But that being said, you also probably already have it, so yeah, it is what it is. At lucky number 13, we have Mr. Freeze, which might come as a surprise to you, considering he's one of the few Arkham inmates to not actually be in his inmate outfit, but it's for a good reason. Just like Batman before, this figure came out in a 4+ set earlier this year. Now, that set was very, very overpriced, but technically, the only new thing this brings to the table is the very cool ice pack on his back. Very cool. I didn't even mean that one. But anyways, it's a great figure. It's just something that we've already gotten. Granted, I think it's a better value to get him in this set, but since we're ranking these based on newness and what they bring to the table, technically we've had most of the year to get this already, so yeah, it's got to rank kind of low for that reason. At number 12, we have the Joker. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a great figure, and I love the green hairpiece that comes on him here, but aside from the Arkham inmate suit, which comes on almost every villain in this set, the only new thing here is that green hairpiece, which does look pretty amazing, but yeah, beyond that, that's the only new thing here. No printing on the reverse of the head, just printing on the front. And, of course, he has this nice little build-out gun with the bang on it, which looks really good. And I think it's a good time to take a look at the Arkham suits, because all of the figures in this set that have an Arkham jumpsuit have the exact same legs and torso. And you'll notice they all have gray gloves on. I think the reason they did that is so that each character could use the same torso. Like, for example, they wouldn't have to change flesh tones or gloves between characters. I do think it's a little bit jarring, and it's something that I personally would probably swap out to upgrade, but I do get from a production standpoint why LEGO had to do it, and honestly, now that I see it in person, it really doesn't bother me that much, but it is worth pointing out for consistency's sake. At number 11, we have Harley Quinn. Now, the hair actually comes from the most recent version of Harley prior to this set, which was several years ago. The mold is the same as the LEGO Batman movie version, but the colors are reversed. So, obviously, on this version, the red is on our right side and the black is on our left side here, but the mold is the same as the LEGO movie, it's just the colors were reversed. Kind of interesting. The head, as you can see, she's winking on one side, and on the other side, she's blowing a bubble, and you can actually see she's got a little bit of colorful eyeshadow around her eyes if you really zoom in there. And she has roller skates on and a brick-built giant hammer, which does look really good with stickers on both sides. That is awesome. But, you know, we've gotten so many Jokers and so many Harleys over the years. That's why these are ranked a little bit lower of all the inmate minifigs, but it's still an awesome representation and a great inclusion nonetheless. Bringing us into the top 10 is the Penguin. Now, he's not based off of any specific iteration, and in fact, he uses the same torso as all the others, but this time around, he has a brand new head as well as a white collar piece, which is pretty uncommon with that fur collar. He also has his iconic umbrella, as well as two Penguin minions, one with a stick of dynamite, and the other with a revolver. This is a great minifig, and we haven't gotten a Penguin minifig since 2021, so it's really great to have him back again, even if he is in his Arkham jumpsuit. At number 9, we have the Scarecrow. Now, we've not gotten a Scarecrow minifig since the Dark Knight version in 2021, or since 2017 for the LEGO Batman movie version, if you prefer that. Regardless, it's a great minifig. I love his sunken-in green eyes and his very scary smile. I just really wish they'd given him his hat. I mean, for a $300 set with 2,953 pieces, would it have really been that much of a stretch to throw in one more piece for his hat? I honestly don't think so, and that would have absolutely made the figure for me. But, of course, that means I'll get to upgrade the minifig here soon, so stay tuned for that as we continue our Arkham coverage, including the next minifigure in this review. At number 7, we have Killer Croc. Now, this figure is a little bit disappointing in the sense that I really wish it was like a big fig, but still, at minifig scale, it's really, really awesome. It's just hard for me to believe that Killer Croc is the exact same height as the Joker, and Bane, who we'll look at before too long, is the same size as Killer Croc and Harley Quinn. Yeah, right. But still, it's a great minifig nonetheless. It does use the same torso and legs as we've been talking about. He does have a piece of chicken here, which is actually referenced in the set, so keep an eye out for that as we get into the build itself. And, of course, you know, the big talking point is the fact that it's only his head that's new here, but thankfully, the Lizard from Spider-Man No Way Home offers the perfect body to go ahead and upgrade this, so stay tuned for that in a future video, but for now, let's keep rolling on.
Yes, at number 7, we have the Formidable Bane minifigure.
I love this minifig, guys. I will say, a big problem is there's no way Bane should be the same size as the Joker, but I get why they had to do it. But on another hand, I would have almost rather not had Bane and Killer Croc in this set and gotten somebody like Mad Hatter, Two-Face, characters we've not gotten in equally long time in a lot of cases, or in Mad Hatter's case, ever. But, it is a great minifig nonetheless. Now, of course, the only things new here are the mask, which does look really, really good. And, of course, we have a nice little brick-built toxin backpack for him, as well as a dumbbell like we were talking about. And we haven't had a Bane minifig at this scale since 2016. And then, of course, we got that big fig Bane in 2017 from the LEGO Batman movie. So it is really, really nice to get Bane here again after all this time. I just really wish it was a bigger figure or a little bit more standout than yet another figure in their Arkham jumpsuit. But that being said, every figure from here on out is new to this set, so that's something to get excited about. At number 6, we have Catwoman, who has a brand new head and torso, but uses those very common now legs from the Avengers sets for the legs, which are perfect here. They add a great level of detail. She also has a little kitty treat box here in her hand, Meow Bits, which is really cool. And, of course, she's got the headpiece here that gives her ears on the back of the mask. It is a really, really great minifig. I love this one a lot. And, of course, she's earned her spot at number 6 on this list. At number 5, we have the Riddler. Now, we've gotten a lot of Riddler minifigs over the years, but this one brings a brand new hat, head, and torso piece to the table, which are really, really great. I love that the Riddler is included in Arkham, because, of course, from the video games and everything, plays a huge part, especially in the side quests. So I love that he's here, and I really, really love the torso print on this. It may be my favorite Riddler minifig to date. Of course, I want to let some recency bias, shed off from that, but I do really, really love this one, and think he's deserving to be in our top 5. At number 4, we have Batwoman, who is absolutely awesome. Now, she actually brings back the original Batwoman cowl piece here, which hasn't been seen in many, many years. But, of course, there's not really a lot of newness going on. I mean, the torso is obviously based off of the exact same Batwoman from New 52. Not that that's a bad thing or anything, but there's just not a lot of newness here besides the cape. And, of course, the head is brand new as well. The head looks great, if I'm being honest. But the cape is really, really cool because we have black on the outside and red on the inside. If you guys have been collecting LEGO for quite some time, you know how rare it is to get double-sided, double-colored capes like this. So it's really incredible to get it here. I just wish that we had gotten a more regular cape like we have on the original Batwoman minifigure because, of course, I just think it would be a lot stronger. With this cape, it really limits, what you could do with it. Like, she basically always has to be flying, and, the cape has to, kind of bend down in a way, and you would have to, crinkle and crease it. I don't know. I love it for, posing and play dynamics, but I don't love it for just standing around, and I wish we just got a regular version of the cape, too, for standing around, and in a $300 set, I really don't feel like that's too much to ask. Here we have Luke Fox as Batwing coming in at number 3. This figure is so cool, being one of the new figures that has leg printing, which is so great. Gonna come in handy for so many customs. And of course, that torso is brand new here as well. The head actually has appeared in some other sets, like the foosball table, but it is its first appearance in Superheroes. And of course, the cowl is the same one that came on the sonar suit from the Batman Forever Batmobile, which would work perfectly for a Batman from BVS in the armored suit. Now, bearing all of that in mind, when you look at art of Luke Fox online, a lot of times the mouth is actually covered. And I really wish that the head could have been like a reversible head, kind of like we got with the Sam Wilson Captain America from Brave New World, where one side has the breathing apparatus on and the other side is just Sam's face. I think that would have been really cool, but of course that would have necessitated LEGO making a new part, and we all know how much they love to do that. That being said, the wings can actually fold down on the side, which are very cool. We have a stickered piece covering that right here. And I'll go ahead and remove the head and slide this piece off so that you can see we've got a great bit of back printing there as well, making for an awesome minifig, even if his head isn't on right now. Coming in at number 2, we have the Damian Wayne Robin, who of course takes much inspiration from his 2021 comic book look. Really, really great here. You got those red gloves with the gray torso, the little Robin R logo, and he's got the shorter mid-sized legs, which make them posable, which is great for, of course, posing him in action scenes around this set. The spiky hair can actually be flipped around to show a fighting or maybe even a scared face on the reverse side. The cape is double-sided with yellow on the inside and black on the outside, and we can actually move that cape to see some great printing hidden beneath the cape as well. Now, of course, you know what I'm going to say about the cape. It's the same thing as Batwoman. I really, really wished that we had gotten just a regular cape that wasn't so, flowing in the wind, just because when you pose them regularly, I just feel like it'd be better to have that. Again, in a $300 set, I don't feel like it's asking too much to get multiple versions of capes. But, I love that it's double-sided in, hey, maybe it's a sign of things to come. Maybe we'll get some other things in future sets someday. We can only hope that's the case. And at number 1, we have Poison Ivy. This is such a great minifig, guys. Starting from head to toe, the hair actually is the Glinda hair from Wicked, recolored in red, and we get a yellow flower to put in her hair, which looks so amazing. We can lift that up to see a double-sided head with some, ivy and plants growing down the sides of her face, and of course that face is double-sided. Looks great on both sides, and I just love that the costume here is so inspired by the Arkham games without being completely from that or completely from any one comic book from what I can tell. It just feels like a very, very great version of the figure, and the coloring, too, of the arms, hands, and head are so unique. I can't really think of another LEGO figure off the top of my head that has quite that color. Maybe something from Hidden Side, but overall, it's just such a wonderful minifig and very deserving of the number 1 spot, if you ask me. And as an honorable mention, I think we should talk about the statue that overlooks the top of Arkham that we'll see when we look in the set. But as you can see, one side of the face has been defaced by the Joker, and the other side is just a regular statue head. So if you wanted to, fix up Arkham after the inmates have all been put back in their cells, you could certainly do that. I don't know that I would count this as a minifigure in the set per se, but it's definitely worth an honorable mention before we wrap things up. Let's start things off with the Arkham Asylum Patient Transport. We've got lots of references right off the bat. On the roof, it says 7785, of course being a reference to the first ever Arkham Asylum that LEGO made. That was the set number in 2006. Then on the front and the back, we have license plates of B258. Of course, Batman number 258 was a Two-Face story where he escaped from Arkham, and it was the first appearance of Arkham Asylum in any Batman media, so that's pretty cool. We can lift off the roof in 2 different sections to access the inside. On the inside here, you can see we actually have some tranquilizer guns there for the guards to use, as well as 2 seats up front where we can seat both guards, and we can actually remove this from the back, but the door's open too, so we can put these rooftop pieces back on, and then go ahead and use this cage piece here to put our prisoners in. I think the Joker feels like a good one to start with, so we could just go ahead and clip this over the Joker so that he can't get anywhere, and then of course we just load that back in and close it up like that. Now, there are quite a lot of stickers on this, and as you can see on the camera, I feel like the white of the stickers don't really match with the white of the pieces. I know that might sound crazy, but even in person, not just on camera, there is a disconnect where the Arkham Asylum is super white and the pieces are just not quite the same shade of white. I do like that there's a lot of pieces, or stickers I should say, that have wear on them, and it shows that this vehicle has been through some adventures on its own, but still, it does kind of bother me that those white shades don't match up perfectly. The other thing is, I love these big mirrors on the front, and I personally have not had a LEGO set with this size tire and wheel in it, so that was cool to see too. I don't know if that's new for this set or not, I'm just saying I've not seen it myself. That being said, let's open the gates to Arkham and head in. Now, before we take a super close-up look, let's just take a look at the building as a whole from the outside. As you can see, the villains have made their mark all over the building, and there's going to be a lot for us to get into and explore, but a couple things that really stand out to me are we have these giant holes in the back, which of course are where the villains broke out in the story narrative of the set. But the thing that's kind of annoying about that is it doesn't come with any extra pieces to go ahead and close those up. Whereas on the Daily Bugle, there was a whole wall section you could remove that could be battle damaged or not. In here, you just have to live with the fact that the walls are totally open. Sure, you could mock it to be closed. I'm not saying that, you can't do that. It is Lego after all. But as a OCD completionist, it does kind of bother me that, like, no matter how I do this without adding extra pieces, I have to have these big holes in the side open. And considering I imagine that it was a lot of the same design input from this set that the Daily Bugle had, it is just a little bit annoying to me to think that they were able to do that for the Bugle, but not here. That being said, there are so many Easter eggs to dive into, so let's start in the front courtyard and start breaking down the set and all the great details here. So of course, up front we have the Arkham letters, and these are really, really cool. If you look at them, they're not quite lined up perfectly because of the way that they're built, and there's just no way around that. I just love that they used this piece from the roller coaster track to, have them there, and it just looks great. It's very inventive. These front gates open, and you can see that we do have some damage, if you will, here from where things have eroded, but there's lots of individual studs where minifigs can stand. Over in the corner here, we can see a cover for the sewer that says Gotham City, and you can see where Killer Croc has left his mark there. That will be referenced a little later in the set. And then on these front windows, we've got a lot of details. For example, this bar clips over that front there, and it can be removed. Certainly doesn't have to be. It's all up to you, but that clips right back into place. Tough to do with one hand, though. That being said, over on the side here, you can see we've got another one of those bars that clip, and maybe a minifig could, like, escape out of that window or something. And, of course, Poison Ivy's plants are growing out the windows here from her portion of the breakout. Now, moving over, we did look at this minifigure earlier. This is a very cool statue that's been Jokerized, and, of course, I love that a lot. And she's got that lock on her handcuffs, and we have Arkham Asylum stickers right there over the doors, which also open so that we narratively can have our minifigures walk inside the asylum, which of course we'll do ourselves in just a moment. Moving over to the side, you can see where this gate has been broken down and some villains have already breached the gate. Of course, we have some mud there for Clayface to show how he escaped out of the sewer drain there. And then, of course, we've got some Joker graffiti there, "Smile, you're on camera." And hitchhikers may be supervillains with a riddle or question mark on that one. Now, we do have this tower up here as well, and that's really cool. It's like the watchtower to have the guards looking over. But the one thing is, like, if you're going to put this in your Lego city, this is going to be in a quarter, so the watchtower would just be, like, looking over your Lego city. And that's one place where the design of this set does kind of bother me. I do absolutely love this set, as we're going to get into, but the way that it's been built into a corner, think about all the space right here that we lost when it comes to the interior, when we get to the interior, and Arkham, to me, doesn't really need to be, like, in the middle of a city, and, I would have almost preferred if this was like an island of sorts, and it just kind of existed on its own. That being said, though, I do love that it's a modular, and, hopefully, getting to our next reference of Metropolis here, it's the first of many DC modulars to come, but it's just, I don't know, there's something about the way that this is built into a corner that I love the way it looks, but I also feel like it's constrained by its own design. So keep that in mind and let me know if you agree as we go through things. That being said, as we move around back here, we did talk about this hole. I want to save that a little bit more for the interior to discuss. On the back door, we have restricted access area, but of course, the Riddler has graffitied for it to say unrestricted access area, and this says not a revolving door, which I find kind of humorous considering the villains break out of Arkham all the time, so in a way, it kind of is a revolving door. But over here, we've got a really, really obscure reference to this banana guy on the box. My thinking is that this is a reference to the Banana Co. from the Gorilla Grodd Goes Banana set years ago, which in and of itself was actually an Arrested Development reference, which is pretty random and cool. That being said, we've also got a little snowman here where Mr. Freeze has frozen the trickle out of this sewage pipe from the rooftop here, which is cool. And we have play features where we can remove, or rather pull out, this piece here, as well as this electrical box. Again, all things we're going to revisit more when we get to the interior. But one cool thing inside of here is we have this piece. I'm not 100% sure if this is a reference to something or not, but inside the trash bucket, we have studs. I think this is our first reference to any LEGO video game in a superhero set, And beneath those studs, we have a Batman #9 comic with Batman and Robin on the front, continuing the tradition of putting some kind of a classic comic book cover on the cover of these little plates in these sets, which is so, so cool. Then, of course, we have a Vote for Harvey Dent and Joker ha 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 graffiti here. And, of course, the Harvey Dent one is ripped over his Two-Face persona. Very, very reminiscent and referential to the Dark Knight trilogy, which is so, so cool. And then we have some graffiti up here with the Riddler up top here with his question marks, and just some, like, you know, general worn down graffiti over here. As we move over, we did briefly take a look at this before, but we have a Visit Metropolis poster with a Crypto Super Dog little paw print there, and a Wayne Industries. I guess that'd be like a higher thing with like the phone number. I guess it's not very specific, but up top here we have a heart with Harley and Ivy's initials with a diamond and a plant there, so referencing their relationship. And then that brings us back to the front here, where we have some penguin graffiti on the rooftop, a light watching over the courtyard. Wow, that was a zoom in if there was ever a zoom in. And then, of course, we've got more graffiti up top for Harley Quinn representation, and also some Joker representation on the water tower. So that's a pretty good look at all the details on the outside. Overall, I really, really dig it. I think it feels worn down and lived in just the way I like to see my Lego sets, which is very cool. Of course, along the sides here, you'll notice these studs so that you, of course, could make this modular and attach it to other buildings in your Marvel modular series or just the Lego modular series in general. And you can see all these J-hooks and studs all around where you can actually put a plethora of clear pieces which are included in the set to be able to have people jumping around the building. But speaking of the building, let's head inside those front doors and check out Arkham Asylum. You know, when you've shot literally thousands of LEGO videos, it's easy to assume that everybody just knows how everything works, but there's probably somebody out there that this is the first LEGO set you're thinking about buying, so let me explain how modulars work. You can actually lift off the individual levels of each part here so that you can get to the interiors of the different parts of the build. So the roof lifts off over here, and unfortunately, there's actually nothing up in the attic space other than some condiments referencing the Condiment King. And it's very hard to see, so I purposefully left myself area to be able to reach it here. But there is a crossword that says, "Riddle me this," which is quite cool. You're supposed to put it way up there, but by the time you do that, you literally wouldn't be able to see it. So I did a little augmentation of my own on that. But let's start on the ground floor and look at the interior. So as we move in those front doors, we can finally see the interior, where we have a little bit of like a checkered floorboard in the waiting area, then blue flooring to go to the cells, and then over here we have kind of like the police holding station. Now, it is a little difficult to like get in and see things on a camera angle. It is much easier to see in person, but I'm going to do my best here. Behind the little police desk here, of which there's no seat, basically your officer just has to stand, we have some security cameras showing what the villains are up to. The bottom right one, of course, has been knocked out. The top left has the Joker. Top right has the Scarecrow actually poisoning a water cooler, which we'll see on the second floor. And we can see Bane lifting weights. We've got a clock over here. I'm not sure if that clock has any significant reference or not. If you think of something, let me know in the comments. But we actually do have a really great reference on this newspaper here to The Dark Knight Returns, of course, with it saying The Batman Returns, and having that iconic art right there. Now, as we turn it, you can see we do have a computer screen. I'm going to have to tilt it up so that you can see it is for Clayface, and we've got a Wayne Tech sticker there too, so it's Wayne Tech Computer, and you can see that Clayface would have just actually taken his rap sheet photo there, and of course it looks like he broke out of the wall or something along those lines. We do see up front here where Clayface has left a mud trail, so, you know, maybe he got out through a pipe or something, but it doesn't quite say on the inside. Of course, something funny here is we do have a shark fin up top, being that King Shark is the tallest character that's ever had their photo taken here, and on this little card here, we have 1940 as in Batman issue 40 from the year 1940, which was the first appearance of Clayface. Now, moving over here, we have a maximum security cell, which can open up to a padded room for the likes of the Joker, or I guess any of the inmates of Arkham at this point in time. But that closes, and it's a very, like, heavy, robust built door, which looks great. Then we just have so many Easter eggs over here, so we'll break them all down. First off, in the left corner, we just have, like, a little coffee ring on that Arkham rap sheet. We'll see another one upstairs. Underneath, we have a radium elemental tile. Of course, I am thinking that that is a reference to Professor Radium, who's a kind of obscure DC villain, but I don't know why else they would put it there. So that's kind of cool. Then we have this computer here that says open all cell doors, and it's about to click yes, which of course will let the villains escape over here. And on the wall, again, we have so many Easter eggs. In the top right, stand up with Mr. J. That one's pretty obvious. That chemistry equation in the top left is actually the equation for photosynthesis, of course being a reference to Miss Poison Ivy. Door code 1902 has me confused. I can't find any significant date in LEGO or DC history for 1902, so if you can think of something that I'm just obviously missing, let me know. Then, of course, we have a Batman note and a spoon missing question mark, which will pay off here in a moment. We do have some phones littered all throughout the build that I would assume are ways for the guards to contact each other throughout. And we also have something interesting here where somebody has a spoon showing up in their x-ray. And then as we walk through this door, we have like a clearance with a red and green light, which of course continues to the other side. And we can actually knock all of these walls out to get access to the beds inside here. So this one actually doesn't have a bed. It just has some sheets folded up on the floor. But this one has a bed, which actually can fold up into the wall to create more space. And every single cell has like a gate on it so that the inmates would be able to talk to each other. Probably not the best idea. And then, of course, this is kind of fascinating. There's a spoon left underneath here where one of the inmates clearly used a spoon to dig the entire floor out to escape through this hole they made in the back. Very Shawshank Redemption. Then, of course, remember we were talking about this dumpster over here, which we can pull out, and when we pull it, all the doors move in unison to allow the villains in and out to escape. Not a great idea, because what if this guy has to use the bathroom? Then you just open it up, and then his two neighbors are able to just get out. I get it for play, though. It does look very cool. It's just sometimes funny how logic doesn't exactly hold up to these things. But the walls go right back in there, and then we are good to go for the exterior. And then just a couple other things. We've got a sticker here that says, no coins, umbrellas, playing cards, or coolers beyond this point, with the Joker crossing out the no and laughing, of course, saying that they should allow coins for Two-Face, umbrellas for Penguin, playing cards for Joker, or coolers for Mr. Freeze. On the wall over here, we actually have a ladder that goes up, and now that will take us up to the second floor where the story continues. So as you can see, that ladder is how we get to the second floor, and we have those poison ivy plants growing out, which of course we can also see that this cell is for Miss Poison Ivy herself. We can knock out the walls to see all of the plants, and then the other two ones here are just regular cells where the beds can fold up, just like before. Basically an exact repeat of downstairs, just with Poison Ivy having her own cell in that far corner. Now, as we move over here, we have a portrait of Jeremiah Arkham, the great-grandson of the founder of Arkham, which is a pretty cool reference in and of itself on the wall here. So we have another of the same thing from downstairs. This one just hasn't been vandalized by the Joker. And then we have a lot of Easter eggs over here. Again, easier to see in person than on camera. In fact, I think I'm just going to go ahead and remove this piece so it's easier to see. But we have a coffee mug there, as well as the head of a Eraserhead. Oh my gosh. And an owl, more than likely referencing the Court of Owls from DC Comics. Then we can flip this around to see we've got another computer screen here with an x-ray, but this one doesn't have a spoon on the inside, so there you go. We also have a door with those same lights from downstairs. We have a fire extinguisher, like they love to hide in all these LEGO superhero sets. On the wall over here, we have the menu, with laughing fish soup, chicken legs, and snow cones being references to various DC villains, of course. Then as we move over here, we have the watchtower, which we mentioned before from the exterior. We can remove the roof to see in there, but we could even do one better and remove the entire watchtower to see inside. I love that the Bat logo looks like the Arkham Knight Batman, or I should say Arkham Asylum, Arkham Trilogy Batman. You know, you get the drill. But it looks like the coffee has been poisoned here. We've got a microphone there, and then we can move the camera all the way around, or I guess I'm moving the building, not the camera. But you can see from down below how I referenced the water cooler has been poisoned. You can see right here, that is the case. I guess the Scarecrow was able to get to the water. We have a calendar over here, which has Calendar Man on it, which is pretty cool, with a new design for the character. And September 21st is not marked off. Assuming the top left is the first of the month, that would be the 21st block. And interestingly enough, the first episode of Batman the Animated Series debuted on September 21st, 1992, so that could very well be a reference. Now, of course, here we have a window that looks into Harley's office. You know, on the wall here, we have a doctorate degree for Hugo Strange, which is cool, but it seems like it's Harley's office to me, based on the sticker on the door, where the Joker or Harley has put Ha instead of Harleen Quinzel, which is cool. Of course, that door does open up so your minifigs can walk in there, but it just feels a little cramped in here to me. Like, you know, there's just a coffee cup sitting on the floor. That's kind of odd, but I do like that the couch is, you know, positioned in a way that you can have a minifigure lay back on it for a therapy session. Might be our first official Lego therapy room. I'm not 100% sure, but on the wall, we have a Harleen Quinzel Employee of the Month photo that's been knocked on its side a little bit, and a Most Wanted photo after she's become Harley. And then there are a ton of Easter eggs over here underneath the tape recorder. Of course, we have Harley's red and white makeup there. We have Two-Face's scratched up coin, and we have a case file for Killer Croc where we could see him reaching out of a sewer to grab a chicken leg there, which could very well be this sewer that I mentioned earlier that we would come back to and reference. I guess you just don't know, but with that being said, that's everything up here on the second floor. And now that brings us to the roof. You know, we kind of looked at the roof a little bit earlier, but I love what they did with all these sharp pointed pieces up here. Really just makes it look gothic, and it really just helps sell the Arkham vibe. We've got this chimney over here, and then, you know, all these jumping pieces, like I said earlier. The water tower with the Joker graffiti is pretty sweet, but that's everything here in Arkham. You know, I really, really like this set, and I think it's a very strong first outing for LEGO to do DC modulars, but I just don't know that I love it quite as much as some of the Marvel ones. Like, I definitely don't like it more than Avengers Tower. I don't think I like it more than the Daily Bugle, and I'm not sure if I like it more than the X-Men Mansion or the Sanctum, but it's probably ranked number 3, to be honest with you. But again, I literally just finished building this yesterday, and I haven't had time to, like, live with it quite the way I have the Marvel ones, so I don't know. There's just something about it being a corner building that doesn't sit quite right with me. There are so many corner buildings in my modular city already. That's not to say that my modular city is the, you know, metric stick by which we measure all of these. It's just to say it feels cramped to me. You know, those hallways really feel tight. I had to, like, remove pieces just to show you details on the inside. Speaking of details, I forgot to show you this one. Just like downstairs, you can pull this tab to open those doors. And there's an egg inside there referencing Egghead, which is kind of cool. But yeah, you know, I really, really like this. I just don't know that it delivers quite the way several of the Marvel ones do. But for DC, I absolutely love it. And like I said, I just think it's a very strong start for hopefully more to come from this theme. I really, really like it. The build is awesome. And of course, those minifigs are phenomenal. I just think that the cramped feeling inside is just too hard for me to get over. So it can't be number 1 on my list for that reason. But it's probably my favorite LEGO DC set ever, just to show you the nuance of it. It's just compared to the Marvel ones, I don't know if it holds up quite the same for me. But with that being said, let's zoom out and wrap this video up. Alright guys, well that's what I've got to say on Arkham Asylum. I've got lots more videos to come, including minifigure and Easter egg breakdowns, minifig upgrades, fitting it into my LEGO city, and so much more, so be sure to hit like and subscribe. And in the meantime, also, let me know what you think of this set down in the comments. Obviously, there's a lot of newness here, a lot to be excited about, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think about it. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with me till the end. This was so much fun. Let me know which Arkham is your personal favorite. I mean, I love them all for different reasons. After having rewatched all the footage and gone through everything, I think that they're all great in their own ways. Of course, I love the 2006 one for the nostalgia from growing up. I do think that there's a whole lot of charm to the LEGO Batman one. I think that that probably had the best minifig selection all around. The new one is just amazing from like a UCS standpoint, and I think that this one was probably the best playset. But man, it's so fun to look back on them all and just have fun looking at all of them. So let me know which one was your personal favorite, and I'll see you on the next video.